Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So first of all, I don't want to waste anybody's time. Unless you are in the UK and wanting to fly a drone, you're going to find very little value in this video. So once again, I do thank you for visiting the video, but like I said, there's not much point watching because it's not going to mean a lot to you. However, if you are in the UK and you want to know how to fly something like the DJI A2 in more areas, such as recreational areas, which are again still predominantly built up, or indeed over beaches, as you can see on screen, in the middle of summer, again when there's still people around, do stay tuned and I'm going to explain it all in great detail. So let's get into it. So here in the UK, there is absolutely no doubt, and many of you are aware by now, that there's something the size of the DJI Mini 2, which is sub 249 grams, is absolutely just by far the least restrictive drone you can possibly get. The sub 249 category, you can pretty much fly that drone absolutely anywhere. Now many of you, when it comes to flying something bigger like the DJI A2 many people, the common misconception is the fact that you do need the A2 CofC, which of course costs you a decent quantity of money, and it indeed itself does come with some limitations. However, there is a little known Article 16 authorization, which is part of the CAP 722 document issued by the CAA, which allows you to fly these drones with different restrictions, providing you are members of one of the 4 Aero Modelers clubs. However, this video is primarily to do with FPV UK, because they have recently changed their agreement with the CAA. So if you are an FPV UK member, you are actually going to get so much more flexibility. Sadly, there is absolutely far too much noise to continue this video here, so I'm going to pick this up in the studio and I'm going to talk all about it in full detail. Well, that is a hell of a lot quieter, so let's continue with the video. So drone flyers are categorized into 2 groups generally. We have the hobbyist flyers and then we have the commercial pilots. Now, unfortunately, Article 16 does not allow commercial flying. So if you are a commercial pilot and you want to get paid or use your drone for paid work, you will need to have the A2 CofC. Now, obviously, you will also have to have some sort of public liability insurance. And just to let you know, there is a link to Cover Drone in the description below that offers some really competitive prices on public liability insurance or just general commercial insurance as a whole. So feel free to check that out. But let's quickly just categorize and let's just very quickly talk about and clear up what classes as a commercial flight. So for example, if you are getting paid work or a paid job to do something with your drone, that is of course commercial. If you go out and you are a hobbyist flyer and you take some nice landscape photos of a picturesque location and then somebody afterwards comes up to you and says, I would like to buy that photo, that does not constitute as a commercial flight. Also, if you are a YouTuber, such as myself, and you have a monetized YouTube channel, when you are flying your drone recreationally, even though you are possibly making money off the videos in sort of ad revenue, that also does not class as commercial use. So in those 2 scenarios, you are absolutely good to go. I have done a video previously on all the nitty-gritty details on Article 16 and how it compares to the A2 CofC. I don't want to rehash all of that information in this video. Now, if you do want to watch that in-depth video, I will leave a link in the description below. Please do go check that out. But what I'm going to do very quickly on this video is just go through the very basics of what you need to help you understand how Article 16 might well be the option for you. So first of all, we're going to talk about what you actually need to be able to utilize it, and then I'm going to talk about and give some examples of what you actually receive and how it becomes so much more practical. So to be able to use Article 16 authorization, you need to join one of the 4 Aero Modelers clubs. Now, the one that I'm talking about in this video is FPV UK, and yes, I am a member myself. FPV UK is one of the 4 mentioned. Now, they have actually broken away and negotiated their own terms and their own version of the Article 16 authorization with the CAA. Now, Article 16 is effectively just an article or a section of the CAA CAP 722 document, which of course governs the UK drone rules. Now, certain parameters have to be met. So of course you need to become a member. You also have to have a level of competency. Now, In the UK, you have to have your operator ID, which costs £9 for the year. There is also an optional flyer ID, which is called the Demares Flyer ID test, if you wish. Now, that actually classes as enough competency to be able to utilise Article 16. Now, that is a multiple choice of questions. I would highly recommend you do it anyway, purely because it gives you so much more knowledge to be able to be a more competent drone pilot. However, once you sign up to FPV UK, for example, they will have, as part of the website, a sort of multiple choice competency test, if you wish, and if you do pass that, the CAA do actually class that as part of your competency, and you are good to go if you get the green light on that. So let's talk about where Article 16 allows you to fly then. Now, to talk about where the Article 16 really comes into its own, we have to revert back to the A2 CofC. So you pay your money for your A2 CofC, and it allows you your separational distance to come down from 150 metres to only 50 metres in built up areas. However, for a start, legacy period on these larger drones is going to end at the end of 2022. Okay, so you pay your money for your A2 CofC, and at the end of the legacy period, this goes back to A3 category, even if you've got your A2 CofC or not, and you still have to fly it 150 meters away from people. Now, with your A2 CofC, you have effectively got a cylinder up into the sky, where you have got a 50-meter horizontal distance from uninvolved people. So if you've got a person, or if I'm stood in the middle of a field, 50 meters that way, 50 meters that way, okay, or 100 meters in total, and of course there is no overhead flight whatsoever. Now, with Article 16, this is very slightly different. So by definition, even though Article 16 does not allow you to fly in a built-up area, you actually can fly in a built-up area, providing the area you are flying in is primarily used for recreation. Now, many people choose the A2 CofC because they categorically state you can fly in a built-up area, but it's no good being able to be allowed to fly in a built-up area if you still have to keep 50 meters away from people anywhere. You still can't fly over buildings, you still can't go within 50 meters of people with your A2 CofC. So if you are flying in a park, for example, in the middle of an estate, if you wish. So say you live in the middle of an estate, a housing estate, and there is a green area of grass. Okay, with A2 CofC, you of course can fly there, but you can't get within 50 meters of those houses or with people in that area. Whereas with Article 16, you pay your money, you pay your membership fee, you're fully competent because you've done your Demares test, or you've done your online test on FPV UK's website, for example, okay? And you fly in that same park, your separational distance is actually reduced to 30 metres. So that's 20 metres less than the A2 CofC. And of course, when it comes down to taking off and landing, that is further reduced to only 15 metres. And here's the feather in the cap for Article 16. Rather than it being a big cylinder up in the air with a 50-metre horizontal radius, Article 16 is very simply 30 metres all round. So you can fly over people, okay? Now, so, for example, right, I had a bit of a discussion on one of the Facebook groups where somebody said, no, Article 16 is rubbish. You have to have your A2 CofC. So I very simply said, look, you go on a camping holiday, you set up your tent, you're in an area which is recreation, and you want to get your drone, your nice new A2S, and you want to do some top-down shots. Well, with A2 CofC, you can't. Okay, you very simply can't. You've got to go fly 50 meters away from everybody else, okay, and you're going to have to get some sort of diagonal shots from higher up. Whereas when it comes to Article 16, you very simply could fly overhead at a height of 30 meters. Now, one thing I have to mention, and it is quite important, if you are utilizing Article 16 in a built-up area that's primarily used for recreation, you have to do a risk assessment. Now, again, FPV UK have provided a sample risk assessment and a blank one, and I will leave a link to that page in the description below so you can go check that out. And again, this is another misconception when it comes to Article 16. If you are not flying in a built-up area, you do not actually have to do that risk assessment whatsoever. So say, for example, you are flying out in the open like I'm doing on this video when I'm filming this ship. As long as I am out in the open and away from people and it's not a built-up area, I can utilise that 30-metre separational distance without any risk assessments whatsoever. So that really does give you so much more flexibility and freedoms than, in my personal opinion, over and above the A2 CofC. I have actually been using Article 16 authorisation for quite some months now, and when the founder of FPV UK actually sent me an email to say that he had seen my previous video and he had negotiated some new terms with the CAA. Would I like some more information and would I like to cover it? I of course said yes, because that's exactly what this channel is all about. So let's quickly talk about what is new then. Now, when you buy these bigger drones, of course they are heavier because they house more technology. Something like this has got better wind resistance, so that's the reason why people want to buy them. But most importantly, they have smart controls such as active track and spotlight and everything else. Now, with the old Article 16 authorization, those modes was actually completely outlawed, just like commercial work. You could only use these drones with manual flying, fingers on sticks with the controller. However, now FPV UK have negotiated this with the CAA to be operated using smart gesture controls or motion controllers and allows automated flight modes. So yeah, I think that is absolutely fantastic. Now let's talk about what all of this costs. Now, a membership with FPV UK costs £20 per year, all but a penny, so £19.99. This actually even includes £5 million worth of public liability insurance, and while that public liability insurance won't sort of repair your drone if you crash it, if you do manage to have a bit of an accident and damage somebody else's property or cause harm or injury to somebody, you will be covered. Now, this little card here actually does cost £10 more, but it's quite nice. It's got your operator ID, it's got your expiry date, and of course this is of course proof, because you do, when you're flying in a built-up area, you do need to carry your risk assessment with you, and you also need to carry proof of your qualifications, such as your flyer ID, etc. This shows that you have those on the card, so that's a nice little tip and feature. So guys, that wraps up the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions on all of this, you are more than welcome to leave it in the comment section below. I'm always happy to answer any questions. Let me know what you think to the Article 16 authorization. And again, you know, I just want to put the correct information out there and try and save you guys some money, because for me, it doesn't make a huge lot of sense for the general hobbyist flyer to spend money on a A2 CofC for something that's going to be redundant in less than a year and a half. When you have this option, you get the public liability insurance, and for the simple case of a risk assessment in a built-up area or not at all, you know, if you're not in a built-up area, your separational distances on these larger drones is actually much less. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more drone tips, tutorials and all that sort of stuff, and see you again soon.